My assistant tells me that I need a microphone, so. Okay, welcome to you all. Very nice that you all had the possibility to come. I'm very honored with your being here. I like to start with a short presentation of myself, and then we start with the program. Before we do this, I would like to welcome Mr. Jacob Dalunde. Is he here? Well, he should have been. No, he's not yet. No, okay. Then I would remind you that the online followers can switch to between languages. We have English, French, and Dutch interpreters, so this is can come in very handy. And I would like to remind online followers that they can send questions via the chat box, and after the presentations, we will have the ability to answer a couple of them. So, to get a head start, for people who don't know me, my name is Dorien Rookmaker, and I'm an MEP in the European Parliament. And when I started my mandate at the European Parliament, I believed that connecting European people by a fast, comfortable, affordable, and green, safe, and inclusive way is the ideal tangible project for Europe. And I realized that high-speed rail is the only transport mode which ticks all the boxes, and that fortunately there are already a lot of high-speed rail connections. Unfortunately, the existing network is not a European one, and they are all nationally orientated. Cross-border links are still missing. What we really and truly need in the EU is the ability to travel cross-border through Europe in a safe, comfortable, and green way, connecting all capital cities of the EU with high-speed rail network. We target only capital cities to make the scope attainable, which can generate the support of the people when they see its notable progress, and it will inspire them for maybe more ambitious plans in the future. Through desktop research, we found that there is around 10,000 kilometers still missing, and around half of the missing links are not under construction nor planning. So 5,000 is still a blank sheet. From the beginning up until now, we are fine-tuning our plan, and by consulting various stakeholders about the under-planning and under-construction projects, we learned a lot. In January 2023, I was pleased that EU Rail, in collaboration with All Rail, SER, Unifi, and EY, have conducted a study analyzing the impact of the European high-speed rail network connecting the capital cities of Europe and the main European cities of the region. So it is on the agenda of the European Commission right now. I'm even more happy with the ambitious plan published by the Deutsche Bahn in July 2023. It's more ambitious than our plan, but it's there, and this is already very, very, very nice. We have the ambition in Europe to innovate. Innovation is necessary to ensure the future of our next generation. When people hear about innovation, they think immediately of technological innovation. But for the creation of a high-speed European network, we need other forms of innovation. First of all, we need political innovation, and this includes non-politicized strategies, stable policies, and active citizen participation. And secondly, we need sector mentality innovation, and this includes multimodality and model complementary, developing ambitious visions, and implementation of fresh brains, because the sector is a little bit conservative, to put it mildly. To end this introduction, I hope today we will find the answer to the question how we can realize and complete a European high-speed rail network on high speed. So, This is the main question I will put to my speakers. And I will now introduce to you Mr. Ferraris, who has served as a CEO of FS Italiane since 2021. He was previously holding senior managerial roles in the ENO group, and he holds a degree in economics from the University of Genoa and is professor of corporate strategy at the Luis Guido Carli University in Rome. And he's on the screen right now. Welcome, Mr. Ferraris, and I give you the floor.
Thank you, and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Let me first thank the organizer of this event for giving me the opportunity and the privilege to open today's debate on such a key topic as high-speed rail crossing borders. I particularly wish to thank the host, the Honourable Member of the European Parliament, Dorien Rookmaker, for kindly inviting me to participate to this debate with such distinguished co-panelists. High-speed rail is crucial in connecting people as well as destinations and still has a huge potential to deploy. We support and encourage its growth, especially on international connection, in line with the European Green Deal and the ambitious targets of doubling high-speed traffic by 2030 and tripling by 2050. Our group, the FS Group, has indeed a leading experience in this sector, both at domestic and a European level. Let me start from our national perspective. In Italy, the high-speed project has been a game-changer for mobility, especially on medium-long distances and connections between the largest cities. The high-speed national infrastructure has expanded in the latest decades. The backbone from Torino to Salerno was completed in 2009, and the construction of new lines is currently underway, connecting other major cities like Bari and Reggio Calabria. The Italian rail market has started well in advance compared to the rest of Europe. A new private high-speed railway operator entered the market in 2012, and in the same year, the National Transport Regulation Authority started the market supervision while a substantial decrease of track access charges was introduced. From 2009 to 2019, this scenario has brought about remarkable changes in mobility demand. Plus 200%, well beyond the earlier forecasts, and the reduction of travel limits on most lines, a drop in average ticket prices of about 40%, with a range of different offers, as well as an increase in daily frequencies. Traffic on the high-speed line Torino-Salerno increased fourfold from approximately 15 million passengers per year to about 60 million. Moreover, on the Italian most relevant line between Rome and Milan, railways airlines now hold a respective share of 70% and 30%, reversing their previous positions while benefiting the development of a more sustainable mobility. Over the past year, our group has consolidated the competitiveness of our national high-speed services and brought this experience abroad, particularly in Europe, which we now consider as our domestic market. We have seized the opportunity of the national market opening under the European Union Fourth Railways Package, and we started our operation in France and Spain with our flagship train Frecciarossa, based on high-quality services offered to our customers. More specifically, in December 2021, our subsidiary Trenitalia France was the first international operator to launch its own high-speed services in the French market, with daily connection in open access between Paris and Milan via Lyon. In April 2022, all national daily trips were headed between Paris and Lyon, which is the most relevant line in France in terms of traffic volumes. This experience revealed the importance of the European policy, as well as the European Parliament, in removing barriers when planning cross-border investments. In Spain, ILSA, a partnership among Trenitalia, the Spanish air carrier Air Nostrum, and the Spanish multinational infrastructure company Global Via launched high-speed services in November 22 under the brand Irio, and now is progressively expanding to a total of 70 daily connections on the three main corridors of the country: Madrid-Barcelona, Madrid-Valencia, Alicante, Madrid-Malaga-Sevilla. In both countries, we are reporting very positive results to date, with load factors above 70%, a reduction of average ticket prices, and high levels of customer satisfaction. We now plan to enhance the existing high-speed connection and possibly to launch more international services, for instance, from Paris to Barcelona, from Paris to Brussels, Amsterdam, and why not, eventually to Berlin. As far as cross-border services are concerned, we are actively taking part in the action plan launched by the European Commission in 2021 that aims at boosting long-distance and international traffic in Europe by developing new and existing connections. Two projects by the FS Group were approved by the European Commission. Trenitalia, joined with the Deutsche Bahn, will launch two distinct international connections from Rome and Milan to Munich by 2026, with the option of future possible extension to Berlin. Another project presented by ILSA connects Lisbona to Madrid and to La Coruña. In the framework of this initiative, the European Commission will play a fundamental role in facilitating cooperation among the different stakeholders, framing out the main technical priorities, and helping remove the main obstacles faced with the implementation of cross-border services. At the same time, we count on the valuable support of the European Parliament and its continued efforts for modern, digitized, high-quality networks, increased rail capacity, and more European high-speed international connections. Our core strategy aims at contributing to a new concept of collective mobility throughout Europe, building on the results achieved through competition on fares, competitive offers, new traffic solutions and services, while encouraging passengers to shift towards rail transport. Past experiences demonstrated that this is not an easy nor a smooth path, as several obstacles and challenges arise when entering foreign markets, especially in terms of access to the infrastructure, bearing the costs of track access, charges, and investment on high-quality rolling stock. The successful experience of Trenitalia at national and the European level was possible thanks to the availability of an adequate high-speed network, the presence of other high-speed rail operators, and a regulatory framework aimed at stimulating and improving railways' competitiveness. Qualitative infrastructure and smooth access are the main precondition to boost high-speed transport. Therefore, a seamless, reliable, efficient, extensive, and fully interoperable rail network in Europe will be necessary to move more passengers on rail across the continent, and a single integrated European network is a fundamental goal. The ongoing TEN-T regulation revision is moving in the right direction, but substantial investments are needed for the construction and the upgrade of rail infrastructure, including high-speed lines. According to the European Commission, to implement the current TEN-T regulation, total investments needs over the period 2021-2030 are estimated at about 500 billion euro for the TEN-T core network, and at about euro 1.5 trillion for the TEN-T comprehensive network and other transport investments up to 2050. The full cost of such investment, considering the entire life cost of each project, is definitely huge. Such investments would deliver significant social benefits while also massively reducing the environmental footprint of European passenger transport. Therefore, looking ahead at the next multi-annual financial framework, 2028 and 2034, it is imperative that the European Parliament and the European institutions provide the necessary financial support to encourage massive investment on modern, digitized and efficient infrastructure. The co-financing efforts from the European institutions are vital to ensure sustained investment to cross-border and national infrastructure necessary to fulfill the ambitious requirements of the TEN-T regulations. Nevertheless, public funding is not sufficient anymore to meet the challenge. We cannot expect that the European and the Member States make up to considerable financial demands of the railways alone. It is therefore of paramount importance that the rail sector joins forces with public institutions like the European Parliament to define a medium-long-term vision aimed at attracting more private capital. Events such as the one of today can definitely contribute to this objective by raising awareness of the public and private financial needs of the sector and creating momentum of such transformations. To extend such benefit to as many European territories and citizens as possible and to better connect Europe, we need to provide the best regulatory context where high speed can thrive. Thanks again to the Honourable Member of the European Parliament, Dorien Rookmaker, for organising such an inspiring debate and for giving me the opportunity to set the stage for today's discussion. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ferraris. I'm told that you have to leave us at 4, and now you're leaving us completely? No? Is there still some connection? Yes, there you are. Yeah. Because you have to leave us at 4, I would like to ask you 2 questions in reaction to your a wonderful presentation about how the Italian high-speed rail became such a success, because you talked about the aim of making a European high-speed rail network, and I would like to ask you, the case of Italy, do you think it can be duplicated in the rest of Europe? And the other question I have is, can you give Europe and especially the European Parliament advice on what we should do to bring this project forward?
So, thank you. Well, quite challenging demand. I'll try to answer. Personally, I believe that Italy is not an easy country to build infrastructure in. But as I mentioned during my presentation, I think the high speed created the condition to abandon a little bit the NIMBY syndrome and to favor new investment. So the population are starting to, they have demonstrated in the past, even today, where we are plenty of new projects, there is a positive attitude in favor of the speed connection between the different cities and between the different areas of the country. So I think that infrastructure, of course, is the first driver of such a transformation. We need to create an integrated railways network at the European level, for sure, as at the beginning, for the one most advanced in terms of standardized rules to have the free utilization of the existing railways network. So it can be duplicated. Well, I think there are already positive experience in Spain, so we are not the only one. In France, we have high speed. In Germany, there are portions of high speed. I think that we have a major opportunity in these days because of the awareness of the population and because the positive attitude of the population towards such a type of investment. Of course, the challenge, as I mentioned at the very beginning, is related to the financial need that we have to manage such a massive transformation. I mentioned a couple of numbers which are related to the projects that are well identified today, but clearly if we want to create a real integrated railways network for the high speed in Europe, we need a strong cooperation among the all state members, but in particular, I would say the one that already have high speed or are connected to favor, for instance, the connection between Berlin and Brussels, that today it takes 7 hours and plus. I think there is a ground to do that. Of course, it is fundamental that the European institution and the single government sit together and share a path together with the key railways company to implement such ambitious projects. But I think it's an ambitious project, in this case, well expected by the local population.
Thank you so much, Mr. Ferraris, for your presentation and your elaborate answer to my question. I believe it's a question, it's a matter of regulations, political will, and finance, of course. This, I think, is wrapping it up nicely. Thank you so much for joining us, and I hope to meet you soon.
Thank you for the invitation.
So now we are heading to our second presentation of Mr. Wild. Mr. Wild, do I pronounce it correctly?
Yes, Wild is also. This is also correct.
I always talk about you as Mr. Wild, but I will do so. I will say Mr. Wild now. He has served as the CEO of CPK, a company, since 2019. He has had managerial positions in the Polish Ministry of Treasury and Ministry of Infrastructure. He was the leader of the work on CPK investment preparation and implementation concept. And he has certificates in law and administration from University of Warsaw, University of Florida, and the Friedrich Wilhelm University of Bonn. And this is, for me, it's a reassuring thing, because you're the second speaker today that has a business background. And it used to be a lot of technicians and lawmakers previously. But now I would like to give the floor to you, Mr. Wild. Mm-hmm. And let's see what you're up to.
Well, first of all, thank you, Dorien, for giving me the floor and for organizing this great event. Let me, before I start, let me say a few words who we are. Who is the company? I'm the CEO of the CPK company. Is the special purpose vehicle designed to deliver the so-called CPK program. So we are not network manager. Our position is similar to those from Rail Baltica or High Speed 2 companies. The difference is a scope. The difference is the scope of our works, because our goal is to reshaping the public transportation system in Poland and to inspire and to some extent integrate the public transportation system, especially railway system of Central Eastern Europe. So speaking about going a little bit more concrete, so we are starting with the center of the system. So our first goal is to deliver the CPK multimodal hub, which will be the first and biggest airport for Poland, and at the same time the main transfer railway station for Poland, with over a half of long distance trains going through this point. And the second aspect of our responsibility is to deliver the high-speed railway network for Poland. It's building about 2,000 kilometers of new railway roads. And almost a half of it is in the high-speed railway standards. As you may see at the screen, our goal is to create, in a consequent way, hub and spoke system, centering in the CPK which is fully multimodal hub with the potential to move easily and seamless passengers rail to train, rail to plane, plane to plane, plane to rail, and rail to rail. That's the goal. This topic will be covered in a few minutes by my colleagues. This also, and going beyond that, we work close together with our colleagues from Baltic states, together with Rail Baltica. We work closely with Sprawa Żeleznic, with Czech network manager, and our goal is here to make our efforts provided in the most coordinated way and in the most efficient way. And benefits of that approach describe also a role of CPK. The first, we are agents of change, because a scope of change needed to implement the reshaping I've described is quite huge. So we are talking, in order to do that, we have prepared the high-speed railway standards, we have developed the forecasting tools in order to assess the potential passenger flows. We work together with the Ministry of Infrastructure and Polish network manager on the clockwise timetable. And the benefits of that is first to find the solution how to shift people and goods from roads to rail, how to create the real competitive cross-border rail services because first stage of delivery cross-border links is that we describe the same point on the border in which we find ourselves with our neighbor, but of course this is not the level we want to achieve. We want to go farther, and we are not limited to the borders of the European Union. At the beginning of this year, we have signed a memorandum of understanding with our Ukrainian colleagues to work together on the railway expansion to the Ukraine and through Lviv to Kiev on the new railway line on the European GAUK. So that's, I think. Of course, we are fully aligned with the EU strategies. By doing so, a huge part of our lines is already on is taken into consideration in the Trans-European network corridors, and we are ready by doing so to deliver the goals set in European Green Deal. But before, what is crucial and what is part of the mission of our company is cooperation. We cooperate not only with the other companies from the neighbor countries. We cooperate with the contractors in order to get the best possible result. So the teamwork is, I would say, the most crucial aspect of our work, and this is why we have decided to give the floor to the experts working on that project to explain you what is the status, what we have achieved, and what are the tools we are using. So I would ask now to give the floor to them.
Niektórzy myślą, że CPK to tylko lotnisko. a tymczasem to o wiele szerszy projekt.
CPK jest spółką powołaną do budowy
2000 km
nowych linii kolei dużych prędkości.
W pierwszym etapie pociągi będą mogły osiągać
prędkość eksploatacyjną 250 km na godzinę,
a docelowo nawet 350 km na godzinę.
W sumie powstanie 12 linii kolejowych, które spotykać się będą w nowym sercu Polski, w Centralnym Porcie Komunikacyjnym pod Warszawą. Ale naszym celem nie jest tylko budowa linii. Chcemy zmienić sposób funkcjonowania kolei, a to już o wiele szersze zadanie.
Stworzyliśmy i cały czas aktualizujemy pasażerski model transportowy. Pozwala on precyzyjnie prognozować spodziewane potoki pasażerskie. PMT uwzględnia w swoich prognozach różne środki transportu. Pozwala on nie tylko przewidywać ruch, ale także analizować konkurencyjność transportu kolejowego względem drogowego czy lotniczego. PMT jest najdoskonalszym narzędziem na polskim rynku. Udostępniliśmy go już przeszło 50 podmiotom z różnych krajów. Dzięki PMT wiemy, że po realizacji programu CPK liczba pasażerów kolei dalekobieżnej w Polsce zwiększy się przeszło dwukrotnie.
Opracowujemy horyzontalny rozkład jazdy, który po zbudowaniu nowych linii kolejowych ułatwi przesiadki pomiędzy pociągami i innymi środkami transportu. Plan odjazdów i przyjazdów będzie cykliczny, na przykład co 30, 60, 120 minut, a przez to łatwy do zapamiętania przez pasażerów. Takie rozwiązania funkcjonują już na przykład w Austrii czy Szwajcarii. Stały i czytelny rozkład jazdy to wygodniejsze podróże po Polsce i Europie.
Myślimy nie tylko o kolei w Polsce. Nasze linie kolejowe zostały również uwzględnione w ramach zaproponowanej przez Komisję Europejską rewizji transeuropejskiej sieci transportowej TEN-T. Wspieramy również Ukrainę w dążeniach do włączenia jej w europejski system transportowy. Wspólnie z naszymi ukraińskimi partnerami już dziś pracujemy nad nowym połączeniem Warszawa-Lwów-Kijów, oczywiście zbudowanym według europejskich standardów kolejowych.
Na początku 2023 roku podpisaliśmy porozumienie o współpracy z inwestorami kolejowymi z Czech, czyli z Prawą Żeleznic, oraz Litwy, Łotwy i Estonii, czyli z Rail Balticą. Oznacza to, że już za kilkanaście lat region Europy Środkowo-Wschodniej będzie połączony siecią kolei dużych prędkości o łącznej długości 4500 km.
System kolejowy to jednak nie tylko nowa infrastruktura. Potrzebujemy pociągów dostosowanych do infrastruktury, którą zbudujemy, aby w pełni wykorzystać jej potencjał. Dlatego planujemy zakup ponad 100 nowoczesnych składów, które będą udostępniane przewoźnikom kolejowym. Dzięki temu bariera wejścia na rynek kolejowy dla nowych firm znacznie się zmniejszy.
Dla ponad 1500 km linii kolejowych mamy już opracowane lub są w trakcie opracowywania studia wykonalności. Spółka CPK ma wybrane warianty inwestorskie dla odcinków Warszawa-Łódź, Łódź-Wrocław, Łętownia, Rzeszów, Katowice-Ostrawa oraz Sieradz-Poznań.
Kluczowym elementem przyszłego systemu będzie tak zwany Y, czyli linia kolejowa z Warszawy na zachód, do Poznania i Wrocławia.
Cały ten fragment ma już wybraną trasę przebiegu, a jego priorytetowy odcinek Warszawa-Łódź planowany jest na 2028 rok. Zapewni on połączenie z portem lotniczym i zintegrowanym dworcem kolejowym. Dla tego odcinka obecnie opracowywana jest dokumentacja projektowa. Węzeł CPK ma już uzyskaną decyzję środowiskową. Jesteśmy gotowi do rozpoczęcia pierwszych prac budowlanych. Przed nami jeszcze sporo pracy,
ale nie zamierzamy się zatrzymać.
Dlaczego to wszystko robimy?
Bo nie jesteśmy tylko kolejarzami,
tylko kochamy kolej.
So that's the status and kind of mission statement of our company. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Wild. It's obvious that, but maybe not clear for the audience, so I will underline it, that CPK was especially made for this project, right? So it's not the Polish railway organization that's doing this. This is a completely new organization, and it underlines that sometimes it's important if you want to do new, daring stuff, you need a new, daring organization, right?
Yes, I totally agree on that, because the day-by-day operation can limit you in seeing a kind of bigger picture.
Thank you so much. Other questions we can do later. Then I would like to give the floor to Mr. Lariche. Do I pronounce it correctly? Yes, Mr. Lariche was appointed as Group of Chief Performance Officer and a member of the Executive Committee. From 2017 to 2020, he was CEO of Transdev North America, right? In charge of the group's American and Canadian operations. And he was also in charge of the worldwide development of Transdev autonomous vehicle activities. Mr. Leach is Chief Executive Officer since 1 July 2020. He was elected a member of the Board of Directors of GetLink by the general meeting held on 28th of April 2021. Within the group, he has been appointed Chairman and CEO of FM, Chairman of Eurotunnel Holding, and of course, in that sense, in this function, he is able and capable of telling us about a successful project that is already for a couple of years in operation, and I'm looking very much forward to your presentation.
Thank you. Thank you for the introduction and the invitation. So, yeah, I will start with, do we have the device for the slides? Yeah, thank you. Yes, I have a couple of slides about Eurotunnel. So, yeah, please help me here. Okay, I think I have it. Our story started in 1986 with the Treaty of Canterbury. This was the legal foundation to build the Channel Tunnel. You would recognize the elected official at that time. What is quite remarkable is that it took only 7 years to build the tunnel. Not sure we could do that again today so fast. It was a 15 billion investment at that time without any public money. Only private money was involved in that major infrastructure, which was the largest construction project of the last century. So we speak about the Channel Tunnel. Actually, there are 3 tunnels, 2 railway tunnels, one in each direction, and 1 service tunnel in the middle. I won't be long on it, but it's key. It was well designed and well built from day one, which is very important. And 30 years after, we are still a very modern infrastructure, a standard setter. Of course, we invested a lot after the initial construction, but it's key to underline that this was from day one a major infrastructure which was absolutely well designed and working well today. So more than the infrastructure, I would like to speak about the traffic that we have in it. We have 4 types of services. And with those 4 types of services, we are today the world leader in rolling motorway. The 2 types of services that you see on the left, we operate them under the brand Le Shuttle. So with dedicated trains, which are absolutely unique, 800 meters long, we transport cars. We transported 2.1 million of them last year, so about 8 million passengers. And we also transported 1.5 almost trucks in also dedicated trains that are just getting from one end of the tunnel to the other end. We also, as you all know, have Eurostar, which is using the tunnel. We are here to speak about high-speed rail. They transported 8 million passengers last year. So here we, of course, do not operate, but we allow that service to exist. And there are also rail freight trains in the tunnel, on average 1,500 per year. I will stop here 1 minute to compare 1.5 million trucks to 1,500 freight train per year. You see the massive imbalance, and this is for one reason, which is that the gauge of the track on the UK side does not allow for standard European freight trains to reach London and the logistic platform in the north of the country. So we are back to the infrastructure that we discussed beforehand to have good services, whether high speed, standard speed or freight. We need an infrastructure that will enable this traffic. So back to the network. So more than the services, what is important is that is that if we look at the global picture, I'm back to freight. I will also discuss about passenger. The tunnel today is accounting for 26% of all the freight coming from Europe to the UK and in the other direction. For the passenger, we carry 45% of the passenger from France to the UK, the rest being the ferries and airplanes. So that shows again that when a rail service is successful, we can gain a real market share. And I repeat all of that without any public subsidy. From Eurotunnel, we built a group. So you recognize the first picture that I showed in 1986, the Treaty of Canterbury. The operation of the tunnel started in 1994. So next year we'll celebrate the 30th anniversary of the tunnel and of all its services. And then from that, we decided to grow. A few years after, we made a few acquisitions in the rail freight area, and now we are one of the major freight operator under the brand Europort in France and in Europe. We also decided a few years ago to install a high voltage cable in the tunnel. And that's why it's very important. We are going to speak about innovation after that. This cable is connecting the French high voltage network to the UK one. So we transfer power from one country to the next one, which is absolutely key for the energy security and balance of both France and Europe on one side and the UK on the other side. We had the tunnel. It was already built. So we just, if I can say, had to add that cable. So of course, a lot of analysis had to be made, and it took a few years to build it. But in the end, we were able to leverage an existing infrastructure to do something else with it. And it was key, and it's still key today for our economic balance. And you will see on the next slide that thanks to all those activities today, we are a very successful group, GetLink now. So GetLink has been created after Eurotunnel to put under the same umbrella, all those activities. Last year, our revenue was 1.6 billion euros, net result of 252, and we are listed on the stock market in Paris. And you will see, you have seen that all our activities have one point in common. They are all low carbon, and we want to push in that direction, which is one of our two main strategic directions. So based on that, I will dare to share a few lessons learned, and hopefully they will be useful. The first one is about competition. I will be quick on that one. We are, of course, in all our activities under a strong competition. The benefits of them, I will not repeat what Luigi Ferraris said about Trenitalia, but we see the same benefits, and his numbers are absolutely great to share. We see the exact same benefits. So first point. Second point that I would like to share is about innovation. You see, it's because we are in competition that somehow we have to innovate. And the fact that we were able to decide to put a high voltage cable in a railway tunnel, that was not an easy decision to take. But we are a commercial company. We want to further develop. And to do so, we have to be creative to find new ideas. And those new ideas are all the more important than we are in competition, not only with peers, from the same industry. If people do not take the tunnel, high-speed rail or whatever, they will take, a car or a flight. So we compete against other modes, and they innovate a lot. They evolve a lot. And so even if we are the best in class in the railway industry, if we are far away from the standard that they offer to their customers in other modes of transportation, we won't exist. So this competition and this push towards more innovation is absolutely key. In the railway sector, innovation goes quite a lot in the direction of standardization and simplification. Let's be realistic. The railway industry is quite a complicated one, from the track, the train, and so on. So everything that we can simplify and standardize. And by the way, our second strategic direction after being as low carbon as possible is simplification. We want to be low carbon, high simplicity. It is, to our opinion, one key to unlock the potential of rail. I said that competition was key, that we were competing against other modes. Today, we also must realize that if we want that competition to be fair, we must play on the same level playing field. And today, it's not the case. I will give you one concrete example. If what we do, operate services from the UK to Europe, we pay the minimum wages of France, or in the UK, in those services, we don't have the choice. Our competitors, the ferries, from France to the UK, they don't pay the minimum wage of France or of the UK. They just use manning companies using seafarers from all over the world, but not Europe. And all of that is today permitted in Europe. So we are, of course, requesting a level playing field if we want to have a chance to defend, and competition should be towards more innovation and not a race to the bottom regarding pay, wages, and other benefits for the people operating those services. A last remark also is that after 30 years, we have seen a lot of changes. When we started, the UK was part of Europe. It's not the case anymore. And without realizing it, we have become from, an infrastructure manager and a railway operator. We are now also the first border of France with a country outside, Europe. So here also we must innovate to adapt and to ensure that the border crossing is as simple as possible. So here also it's a request towards Europe is to involve all stakeholders, including private one, in all the discussion regarding, new standard, new regulation. In the case that I just mentioned, for example, the trade and cooperation agreement between Europe and the UK. We are not part of it at all. Hopefully there will be a negotiation soon. It's provided in the TCA. We'll be involved quite early on because we have quite a lot to say actually on how we could simplify without making any compromise on safety or security or whatever, because we operate that border on a daily basis. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Mr. Luigi. There's a point taken and noted as well that you need a fair level playing field. And when we start developing or designing regulations, you have to be on board so that they do what they're supposed to do. That's my wrap up of your presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Then we are going to the last one, and not the least. Next to me is Henrik Vincentsen. He's the CEO of Fehmarn, which is especially for me as a Dutch MEP, a very exciting project that he's running. It's the connection between Copenhagen and Hamburg, which also connects Copenhagen with Berlin, and hopefully in the next future also Copenhagen with Amsterdam. We never know. Mr. Vincentsen is, as I mentioned, in charge of building the Fehmarn Tunnel. It's a railway tunnel, but also a road for road traffic. It's the longest immersed tunnel, running 18 kilometers, connecting Denmark and Germany. And Mr. Vincentsen has a background in civil engineering, so a technician at the end of our meeting. That's very nice. He has an extensive experience in charge of large infrastructure projects from planning to construction phase. His track record includes both private and public companies, so he's capable of answering our questions, I think, about how to finance such a project. And, I give you the floor.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on the stage. So I'm going to present a project that is very small compared to some of my colleagues here on stage. So we only represent approximately 18 kilometers. And as said, we are a company, Femern, which is established with the sole purpose of constructing this tunnel and operating afterwards. So we're part of the Centralny group in Denmark, operating a number of other user-paid infrastructure projects. So that's kind of the background. So if we look at what we're actually building, so you can see it here. So we are building a connection between the capital of Denmark, Copenhagen, and Hamburg. It's also a connection between Scandinavia, so it's Sweden, Norway, Finland, to the Central Europe. When we today, if you take a train from Copenhagen to Hamburg, you'll have to go across the island of Femern and through Jutland, and it will take you between 4.5 and 5 hours to get to Hamburg. When this tunnel is complete and the hinterland projects on both sides in Germany and Denmark, it will take you 2.5 hours to reach Hamburg from Copenhagen, and you'll end up in central Hamburg or central Copenhagen, depending on the direction you're traveling. And that will make it competitive to taking an airplane, and hopefully that will move passengers from airplane towards more greener transportation form. Now, as said before, the tunnel is a dual tunnel, so it's both a railway and it's a road tunnel. So with high quality railway connection between Copenhagen and Hamburg that we don't have today, hopefully we will be able also to move heavy freight goods from rubber wheels onto a rail, and that way it's part of the green transition of our transport system in Denmark. Because, of course, Germany is our biggest trade partner from Denmark. So, a little bit closer on what we're building. So the Fehmarn Tunnel is just a little portion of the project. So it's 18 kilometers between the island of Lolland in Denmark and the island of Femern in Germany. But we have substantial hinterland projects as well. So we have on Danish side, we're building a railway all the way from Copenhagen to the entrance of the tunnel in Rødby. It's a high-class electrified railway. And then on German side, the Germans are going to build the connections with the road and the railway. And for the road, it's approximately 30 kilometers from the entrance of the tunnel until 10 to 15 kilometers into mainland Germany. And for the rail is all the way from Lübeck to the entrance of the tunnel, approximately 100 kilometers. Now, Deges and Deutsche Bahn is building those two, and together they are building also a small immersed tunnel between the island of Fehmarn and mainland Germany. It's a strait of approximately 1 kilometer, so they have to also build a small tunnel there to replace to supplement the existing smaller bridge that is there today. And if you look at our position in Europe, so we might only be 18 kilometers with the tunnel, but we are a significant part of the European transport network, the Scandinavian Mediterranean corridor. It's a corridor running all the way from Malta and Sicily in the south to the northern part of Sweden and Norway, and to the east to Finland. And the Femern Belt Tunnel is just a small piece, but a vital piece in making that connection between Scandinavia and Central Europe. And you can see also on the map here, you can also see in gray all the rest of these, the 8 other trans-European corridors. So we're part of something bigger, you might say. So what are we then building? So it's the longest immersed tunnel in the world. It's 18 kilometers long. So it's going to be consisting of 89 elements. 79 of those will be what we call standard elements. They're 270 meter long, 42 meter wide, and 9 meter high. They weigh 73,000 tons for one element. So it's quite a substantial structure in itself. And we have to produce 79 of those. Then we're going to produce 10 special elements, and the special elements is a little bit different. It's shorter, it has a basement, and it's a little bit wider. And we're doing that because we want to have a lay-by on the road for our service technicians to be able to, during the operation phase, to be able to do service in the tunnel without disturbing the traffic. And then underneath there is special elements. There is a basement for all the equipment. So we'll have a special element for every approximately 2 kilometers of the tunnel. So that's kind of the task that we have ahead of us. So our financing model, we have used it before because, as I said before, we are part of the Southern Belt Group. We have constructed two major infrastructures already. We have the Great Belt Link, who opened in 1997. We also have the Øresund Link, which is a link between Copenhagen and Malmö in Sweden, opened in 2000. And now we're constructing the Fehmarn Tunnel. The Fehmarn Tunnel is approved by a construction law in Danish Parliament. We have a total budget of 7.1 billion euro. That's in 2015 prices. The whole project is financed through loans. So it's a user-paid infrastructure. So we will in the market taking out loans to cover all our expenses for the construction phase. And then when the tunnel is inaugurated, the users will pay a toll fee to use the infrastructure, and that will the income from that will use for repaying our loans. And we have an expected repayment period of 28 years. Now this is a model that we used on these two other projects, so we know it works, and it's approved in the European Commission. Now, a vital part of the financing also support from the EU. So we have support for 1.1 billion from the EU CEF 1 and CEF 2 financing programs. Now to some details, some pictures of what we're actually realizing, because we are good underway. So this is the production facilities that we have built in Denmark, our tunnel element factory. It's actually going to be one of the largest concrete production facilities in the world, established with the sole purpose of building this tunnel. So it consists of 6 production lines. We have 5 for standard elements. Those are the one in the factory buildings you see. We have 2 lines in each of the bigger buildings, and then 1 line in the smaller building. And then to the extreme right, we have a small extra line for the special elements. Then we're constructing a docking area. You can see between the factory building and the harbor, which is almost complete. We will actually remove the harbor dike within the next couple of weeks, and that will fill up the docks. And then it will be ready for actually transporting all the elements produced in the factory into the Fehmarn Belt for immersion. Then we've constructed this temporary harbor that you can see in the top of the picture. It's actually the 4th largest harbor in Denmark now. So it's a huge harbor, and it's only to be temporary. So that's kind of the infrastructure that we have created to be able to complete the project. Then this just a couple of months ago, we actually started production of our permanent structures. So you can see the pictures to the left are rebar cages for some of the segments for the tunnel elements. We casted the first part of the first tunnel element in July. So one casting in itself is a huge structure in itself. So it covers 3.3 thousand cubic meters of concrete for one section of a tunnel. And we have to have 9 sections to complete one tunnel element. So the scale are extremely huge. One section of the tunnel takes 38 hours to cast, and we have now casted the first 2 segments. So we have 48 meters of in total 18 kilometers. So still somewhat to go, but it's an important milestone to actually start producing, because now for the last 2 years we have been working very hard to establish the production facility to be able to produce the tunnel. When the tunnel elements are ready, this is a construction site for the portal area in Denmark. So we'll build a portal building on each side of the tunnel, and the construction of the portal building in Denmark is well underway. So the philosophy is that you create an in-situ cast concrete structure on land. Then you'll establish a permanent dike on top of that structure, and you can remove the outer dike that you see to the top right corner. And then you're ready to tow out the first tunnel element, immerse it, and connect it to the portal building. And you do that also in Germany, and then you work your way from Denmark and Germany until the middle of the Fehmarn Belt, and have a closing joint there. So the portal building will be ready by the end of beginning of next year, and in the middle of next year we'll probably start immersing the first tunnel elements. Now, a little bit about sustainability. So for the project, we have developed, we have gone through our sustainability. We made a sustainability strategy that covers not only environmental sustainability, but also social sustainability and sustainable governance. We have found out that we have 8 priorities that we made detailed strategies on while realizing the project. And just to show a couple of them, so first of all, we have a climate strategy, and the sole purpose of the tunnel is actually a climate project, you can say, because when obviously we're going to use quite a substantial amount of concrete producing with a carbon footprint, but the aim is that there is a return by moving traffic into more greener transportation form. There is a return afterwards in the operation phase. We have designed the tunnel to be carbon neutral in the operation phase, so we have energy efficient solutions for operation maintenance, and we will only use renewable energy for operating the tunnel. And the picture you actually see here is because we have planted a climate forest, 72,000 trees planted, to offset some of the carbon footprint that we eventually will have during the operational phase. Then we're working very much on finding climate-friendly solutions during construction phase. Obviously, we're working with lowering the carbon emission from concrete mix design. We have priorities on using recyclable steel and a number of other initiatives to lower the carbon footprint during construction phase. And I think that will be key also to realizing future projects, is to find solutions, find ways to lower the carbon footprint of the materials that we use. Then we say we are building with nature, and that's because when we are building a structure of the size that we are, obviously we will have an impact on our surroundings and the nature nearby. So we have very strict requirements on how we monitor and manage the nature that we're working in. So our aim is that whenever we take 1 square meter to produce the permanent structure, we'll replace it with 3 new square meters of nature in the nearby area. And in the picture, you can see actually the lake to the right is a new lake that we have established during the project, and is now a high quality habitat with focus on biodiversity for birds, for amphibians, for insects and plants. And we monitor all the work that we're doing, and we publish all the results we have for all our environmental monitoring during the whole project. So we have very much focus on when realizing these projects, realizing it with nature in focus. So that was what I would bring to you today.
Well, thank you so much. I started this event by saying that we needed more innovation, and that it wasn't technical innovation that we needed, but it was more innovation on the political side of things, in the decision-making process and in the sector. But I have to take my words back, because the sector is innovating. It's only us that has to be that has to do the hard work, because in Italy they are really working with competition and a low access cost to improve competition and awareness for the customer. And in Poland, they are creating a complete new organization, as they do in Denmark. And of course, the tunnel is on the way and is keeping its focus on the competition with not only other rail modes, but also the other modes of transport, like sea and aviation. So this gives, I think, for the rest of the sector, a very good example on how you can do things differently than we used to do in the past. So this is my wrap up, and I look forward to taking 1 or 2 questions. We always try to make this sort of events just for 1 hour, so that we can keep it sharp and short. But we have, I think, room for 1 or 2 questions. But I don't see them on the screen, so. The gentleman over there.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Nick Brooks from All Rail, the Alliance of Passenger Rail New Entrants, and thank you for everybody for your various presentations. They were very interesting. I just have one question to CPK, please, if I may. Very futuristic. We like that, definitely, as we could see from the video. Just a question about multimodality, because you mentioned that buzzword in your presentation about how you want to move people from other modes of transport, especially from roads. And as we all know, road traffic, passenger traffic, has about 80% market share in Europe, in the EU, domestic EU travel. Rail is about 8%, but flights are only at about 5.5%. And of those, about half of the low-cost airlines, where no one really needs a hub. I mean, low-cost passengers, they fly to places like Eindhoven or Balaton, and they just get the bus to the nearest station, so they don't really need the hub. The hub is really, I would say, for legacy carriers like LOT and Lufthansa and passengers like that, more kind of corporate, perhaps more affluent passengers. So my question is basically, if you're about multimodality and knowing how unsustainable airlines are, why are you building an airport? Why not have a big car park, a big free car park, instead of an airport? And then people, the 80%, they can come to the trains at this central location and be dispersed all across Europe and Poland. What's the need for an airport hub at all?
Thank you.
Well, thank you very much for that question, because indeed, this is the issue worth addressing. So, first of all, we are going to build enough parking space for people eager to traveling by train across Europe. Also, close to the CPK itself. And why we are building a hub airport? Well, here, of course, according to our perspective, of course, there is the point-to-point traffic, which we may observe in regional airports, is a certain stage of development or air traffic at all. What we, however, observe is that the justification, a reason behind having hub airports is not only that you have runway too short on the regional airports to travel with wide bodies across the ocean, because it's not the case. It's simply the economic one, that you have to gather the traffic from this or other region in order to justify the sustainable and stable connection between, for example, not between Warsaw and London, or Warsaw and Brussels, but definitely between many other destinations. So once you want to get the comprehensive offer for the customer and don't want to create kind of green museum from the European Union, you think you need to tackle with those real needs of consumers. And what is our offer in the terms of multimodality? Well, we may observe that there are certain trends, for example, for eliminating the short-haul air traveling. And there are tries from time to time to impose such an obligation to prohibit the long-haul flights. According to our perspective, this is the wrong direction. The railway should create their own offer by itself and not demand a special treatment which goes against the passenger needs from the government. We are sure that the railway should and is able to win this battle. For example, investing in multimodality by transferring people by helping people to transfer in a seamless journey concept from rail to plane. So you don't have to have feeder traffic by plane. You may replace it by by the railway. There is one but here. The railway needs to change. The railway needs to elevate its standards of service to the level expected by the air passengers. And we can't close the eyes for that, because I think I have in my team, I have railway people, I have the aviation people, and I'm happy not to be one of them, because that helps me to bind these two words together. And it's not true that we should fight with the aviation, that the aviation era of hubs is going to end. It transforms. There is no technical need for hubs, but definitely in the emerging markets like Poland and Central Eastern Europe, you need to aggregate the traffics from different regions in order to create a real and comprehensive offer. And one comment more: what will happen if we if we will not do it? Those passengers will go not through the closest airport, they will go through Munich or through Frankfurt. For example, if you want if you want to travel from Poland to, let's say, Seoul, you need to go. Sometimes you need to go backwards to the Munich and then travel once again over Poland towards South Korea. It's not efficient. It's not environmental friendly. It's not the solution. So let's satisfy the passengers' needs, and let's railway win this battle and not spoil the railway by unfair privileges. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Wild. I think we all agree that all the multi-models of transport can be complementary. And you illustrated this very well. Thank you. This leaves us to the last question, if there is any. No, then I would like to thank you very much, and the speakers, of course, for sharing their knowledge. The last thing I would like to point your attention to is that in front of you there is a folder, a leaflet, and this is from an organization. This is called the Citizens Initiative. This is a non-political group who is asking for your autograph, because in Europe it is the case that if you want something to happen, you can start a citizens initiative. If you have your own wishes, you can do so as well. If you can accomplish that 1 million people in Europe sign up to your initiative, then the European Commission is obliged to take up on your question or demand. This is very, very nice. Of course, this is a very democratic principle. I think if I see the ones that are already here are, of course, very interested in high-speed rail and probably have already signed. So if you already signed, please take your leaflet home. It's not my initiative, by the way. It's a citizens' initiative, which, of course, I happily endorse. And I hope you too, because there are still a lot of autographs needed. I want to thank you for your attendance here, and see you hopefully next time. Thank you.